All right, everyone, this is Tim, this is New York Giant Trade Talk, brought to you by the mighty FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com, the number one sportsbook in America. Want to talk about the New York football fucking Giants. Why? Because training camp is going to start in like 2 weeks. Going all the way to West Virginia. Why? I don't know. Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. Oh, we got to have what to get to the chat really quick right here. Spy Smasher, you missed the last stream, I know, so I remember that. So you said, oh, all right, are we there yet, Mommy? No. Oh, dang, I thought I was late. Good morning, people. Miss Spray, you're never late. You're never late as long as you're not on time. Hey-oh. I want to talk about Giants positional groups today. Because I see so many different things all over the place. I see stuff on Twitter. I see stuff on Instagram. I see stuff everywhere. And it always reads what the positional battle is and how the Giants have the best. I love it now because now we still have the best pass rush in the entire league.
What's your assignment?
Kill the quarterback. Hit the tight end so hard his girlfriend dies. Kill everybody.
But I don't even think we have the best pass rush in the NFC East. We're going to talk about the quarterback position. We're going to talk about the running back position. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We have Gary Myers coming on tomorrow at 11. So that's 11 a.m. for the Gary Myers show. Gary and I are going to sit down. We're going to talk about, of course, his new documentary, which is coming out. He's writing a book this season because he is good friends with John Harbaugh. He's writing a book this season about the Giants and not just about John Harbaugh, it's about everything Giant centric. So we're going to get a little bit of information. We're going to get a little bit more scoop on that. So make sure you're here Monday at 11 for the Gary Myers show. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Chet. But I don't know which group I should start with first. I don't know if I should start positionally at the top, which of course would be the quarterback position, and then go through the skill positions, or should we just get right into what a lot of people want to do is the meat and potatoes, which would be the offensive line and the defensive line. I think you got to rank the quarterback positions first, and just to keep it easy. And if you're being painfully honest about the quarterback position in reference to the NFC East, first one you got to have is going to be Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's going to be your number one guy. He's your number one guy in the division. You can love Dak. You can hate Dak. You could want to vomit every time you see that number 4 come on the field. But if you take a look at last year, you take a look at the last couple of years, Dak has been the man. Dak, while his team has floundered at times and faltered, he is still probably in the top 7 in regards to quarterbacks in the league. And that pains me to say, because you never want a Cowboy number 1 in anything. You never want an Eagle number 1 in anything. You never want a Commander number 1 in anything. Number 2 on my list, as I was thinking about it, and it's not a tough decision. You got to go Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, you got to go a guy that's been in the last 5 years, been to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. Yeah, you take away a lot of the touchdowns with the tush push. You can't take away the animosity and the issues that he had with the malcontent of AJ Brown, which I don't understand the AJ Brown situation. AJ Brown had 1,000 yards every year in Philadelphia. And he's like, well, it's ruining my Hall of Fame chances. Here's my problem with that. So instead of having 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, you're going to have 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, and that's going to make your career stats that much better. But you got to go Jalen Hurts. You got to go with the man. Jalen Hurts, though, even though he has issues at time matriculating the ball down the field, especially on the deep pattern, he is a guy in the league that wasn't, second round pick. You really thought, what was this guy going to do? But he is the perfect guy for the team. He's a perfect guy for the Eagle. He is an Eagle. I know. Amon Perry's right. AJ wants 1,800 yards. Well, AJ needs to suck it because of the fact that you want to go someplace and win. You want to go someplace. You know what they say.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
He could have been a legend in Philadelphia. There are times when people have left places where they could have been a legend. The Mets had a player years ago named Greg Jeffries. Greg Jeffries was this guy that came up, I Bleav was number 1 overall pick, or he was the Mets number 1 overall pick. He had this aura about him. He was going to be the next great Met second baseman, because he couldn't play third base and he couldn't play second base and he couldn't play the outfield either. But he could hit. He was a hitting fucking machine. He came up and was pedestrian during his rookie season. I think he hit like 258 when everyone thought he was going to win the Rookie of the Year. He had an okay Met career. Then he goes over to the Cardinals and he hits like 350. And then he hits like 340. Then free agency comes. And instead of staying in St. Louis, he takes the big money offer and goes to Philadelphia and again goes back to being pedestrian. I'm just saying. If I'm looking at number 3 on the list, the third on the list was it's the aura. We have to have the aura. Just ask Carl Banks. You have to have that aura. I still love that clip with Carl Banks when he was on the show last year and he goes, you know what the best part of, he goes, you know what they call Tim? Because he knows I hate that word. He goes, you know what they call Tim? They call it aura. I was like, you're being a dick, but that's okay. If I looked at this list and I was looking at this list honestly, and I had to take a look at how I could bring this out. Do you move Jaxson Dart into the 3rd spot, or do you discredit what Jayden Daniels had done prior to the injury and the season before? Because even though he was having a okay year in 25 with 60% for 1,262 yards, 8 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, he was trying. It's always that second year. It's always that second year that gets you. That's why they call it the sophomore slump. It's always that. But he still completed 60% of his passes, still had 1,200 yards, still had 8 touchdowns and 8 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He was doing his best with what he had around him.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
And that's what we want to do. That's what we want Jaxson Dart to do. That's what we want. We want Jaxson Dart to go home and fuck the prom queen. But right now he's fucking an Instagram model. Sorry. We're big Trent Wright. Trent Wright coming in with the super chat. Trent says, good morning, Tim, with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you again. All super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. But if I'm taking a look at this and I'm being honest and I'm being succinct about what we're looking at for that 3rd ranking positionally, I got to give it a tie. I have to say that if I'm going to rank the positions of quarterback, I'm going to have to say it's a tie. You're going to have 3A and 3B. I think you can't discredit the first season in 24 when he took his team to 12 and had a 12-5 record. Yes, you could say it was an easy schedule, but the problem is this: even with an easy schedule, Vinny G, what's up, brother? Even with the easy schedule, you can only play the teams you're playing. I mean, the guy still has a 14-10 record in Jayden Daniels, but of course, you have to worry about, was the serendipitous drop from 24 to 25 really a piece of the team itself, or was it a league catching up with Jayden? We don't know. We don't know what the season's going to look like with Jaxson Dart, because he's going to be under a true offensive coordinator, a true quarterback coach. We're actually going to have some, I'm not going to say whom yet, but we have a fairly, I haven't even told James Williams about this, but we have a fairly, I'm not going to say fairly. I mean, at Ohio State, this gentleman is a legend that we're going to have on. He's a linebacking legend at Ohio State. He is going to be on either next week on a pre-record or the following week. We haven't locked down the date yet, and we're going to talk all about Reese. So he is going to be on. I'm hoping the end of next week. But if it's not the end of next week, it will be the week of training camp. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, this guy, while his pro career was good, he is an Ohio State linebacking legend. And I had the pleasure to speak with him on Friday, and I was very excited. It was another one of those surreal moments, like the Gary Reasons moment when Gary Reasons called me in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, one of my childhood legends. And yes, Gary Reasons, because of the position he played and how he played, he was someone I grew up watching. Was calling me in my car, just completely out of the blue. So when this guy actually called me, this Ohio State legend, to come on to talk about Mr. Reese. I was stunned and befuddled, but excited at all the same. But like I said, getting back to the list, I'm going to have to go 1A. I'm going to have to go 3A, 3B. And I'm not taking the wimpy way out. It's just you have so many question marks with Jaden Daniels, and you have so many question marks with Jaxson Dart. And I Bleav talent of both is prevalent. But it's going to be the new system for each. It's going to be, can they both stay healthy? Jaden, you would think, would have a leg up, but like I said, when you drop that exponentially at times, and if you break down and kind of just go through his seasons, he would still be at like 3,400 yards and like 17 touchdowns if he played in 16 games. Not great, but it is a drop. So I'm gonna have to rank this as, like I said, I'm gonna have to rank this as 3A, 3B. Big Greg Giants, what's up, brother? How you doing, my friend? Joe Spano says Jaxson Dart is number 4 in the division going into the season. The Giants fans hope all for this is when they exercise again before the start of 2027. The Dart is in the top 2. The Fleers basketball, the 86 Fleers basketball card I have in the back, I don't know if you can see that. That one is Chris Mullen. And I actually have the 80s. I have 2 86 unopened packs, which are the Michael Jordan packs. I'm not opening them. I got them over there. I'm not opening them. I'm not touching them, because if you open, they're worth like $1,200 if I keep them sealed, But if there's 2 Jordans in there, then it's worth like 20 grand. But I'm not opening it up. I'm not telling you who it is. You could guess all you want. Like when we had Solomon Wilcox on, I'm not going to tell you until the date is locked in. But this gentleman is an Ohio State linebacking legend, played in the pros, good pro career. And he is coming on just to talk about Reese. Once I have the date confirmed and the link goes out, I will then tell you what day it's going to drop. But until then, we are not going that way. If we go into the offensive line group, or do we want to go into the running back group? Hold on, I got to pull up my. I actually wrote all this down. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I wrote all this shit down. Now I can't find anything. I wrote it all down, and I can't find it. When you're getting old. I love someone the other day, they go, I thought you were 17 years old. And when I was listening to your podcast and I come on and see you and you're like 70. I was like, okay. and it just made it, he was like, and you need to use a better vocabulary. And I was dying because some people tell me I have to Google some of the things you say. Just throwing that out there. So if we go into the positional groups for the offensive line, we get, you know what? There is the pinnacle of the division, and then there's kind of the rest. You have to rank. I think you have to rank the Philadelphia Eagles as the top offensive line. If you when they are on, when Lane Johnson is playing, when Dickerson and Juergens are there, they are probably one of the most fundamentally sound groups when healthy. They are probably the best. If you want to take a look at a pure weakness, right guard to me is the only spot that I'm really seeing. And what's his name? Tyler Steen, I think. Greg, Trenton, is it Tyler Steen? Is that how you say his name? Steen is the one that they're looking at right now. These are a guy. When this team is on, when they are moving forward, when they are a cohesive unit, you have a running back who's going to rush for over 2,000 yards. You have a quarterback when protected and running the perfect system for them. I mean, they are probably the number. If when healthy, they are probably the Philadelphia Eagles, probably the second best line in the league when healthy. Now, health is going to be the question. That's going to be the issue. Having the ability, though, especially with their right guard position, they are going to have to take a look at when you go up against an interior, or I should say an elite interior pass rusher. Now, one of the things that they have to be happy about is the fact that Dexter Lawrence is gone. They need to focus on that in the interior line because they need to keep the pocket. I'm not going to say perfect, but I'm going to say they are going to have to keep the pocket clean enough for Jalen Hurts. Now, again, like I said, this is divisionally if everything is healthy. If you're going to go for the second, I'm going to probably have to go with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys do not have the wall that they used to, but with the Guyton, Smith, BB, Booker, and Steele, you got a pretty good line. You have your interior trio, those guys in the middle. They have a violence about them. They have this. They can. One of the things that you want to do as an offensive line group, and I've always loved this term, and you don't hear about it enough, but you want to reset the line of scrimmage. You want to make and take command of that line of scrimmage. You want to have it so your internal run blocking scheme can move the defense backwards. And I Bleav that they are elite. They are elite in that, in the interior portion of the line. But then again, you have, Tyler Guyton still working through some pains. Steele has struggled with injuries again and some lateral quickness. Where we hear the lateral quickness before issue, that's going to be Evan Neal, because you want to know who's number 3 on the list. Number 3, and I think jumping up the charts, depending on how big Francis comes out. You got to go the New York Giants. I got to give the Giants number 3 in reference to the offensive line. When you take when you take an offensive lineman 10th overall, when you take one 7th overall, when you take one 153rd overall, you are committing to building the front 5. The trajectory of the Giants offensive line for years has been subpar at best. But now you have Andrew Thomas, you have Big Francis. Now, this is the thing with Francis, it's kind of like the Evan Neal thing. Evan Neal had elite physical traits collegiately. But here's the problem. I didn't like Evan Neal. I love when people were like, who in Giant content land can say that they didn't like Evan Neal? Me. I said he looks slow. I said, you're probably going to have to move him to the interior. You might have to move him to the interior, and he's going to have to be more of a mauler. And that's what I thought he was going to be, but I didn't see it. We got to give Kill Cam a super chat here. Good morning, Tim. I don't want to be negative, but I am legit scared on who the Giants play in week 2. I'm legit afraid what Garrett will do to Dart. You have to say something to put my mind at ease. Well, you gave a super chat, and all super chats go to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So that should put your mind at ease. I will tell you this. You should be scared. You should be frightened. You should be traumatized because the Rams are the best team in the league. Right? I'm going to rephrase this, though. On paper, as you hit the like button, the Rams are the best team in the league. If Aaron Donald comes back, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again slowly because there's still talk and no one's mentioned my hair. But if Aaron Donald comes back, you have an elite defensive unit. You basically have the best team in the league, and you said, we're going to throw on Myles Garrett. They gave up assets. They gave up a good young pass rusher, but not at the level of Myles Garrett, and they are trying to win. But I will tell you this: I'm going to put you a little bit at ease, my friend. It's week 2. Week 2 is week 2. You're not going to lose a season in week 2. We're going to win game 1. We're winning against Dallas. I've already pushed my chips I've already pulled the fossil, and I pushed my chips to the middle of the table. We are winning the first game of the season. So you are already going to be.
I'm raising the stakes right now. This is a poker game. I'm shoving my chips to the middle of the table. I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants in, get in. Anybody wants out, can get out.
If you want out, get out. But I'm pushing my chips to the middle of the fucking table. And I'm telling you, we're winning week 1. No one loses a season in week 2 unless you have a catastrophic injury. And I know your concern is about Jaxson Dart getting killed, but here's how I'm going to alleviate all this. I'm going to use my magic to let you understand this. You are running a system with Matt Nagy. You're running a system with Callahan. You are running a system that, if ran correctly, especially against a team like the Rams, it's going to be a quick 3-step drop, quick reads, get the ball out fast. We know Jaxson Dart does that well. You're not going to keep him boxed in.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
You're not going to keep him boxed in because you're going to go short and sweet and quick.
That's what she said.
You are going to use the pass as a run. You are going to set up the run with the short pass. Then you are going to go vertical. Don't worry. Don't let your heart wander. We're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And like I said, no team has unless it's a catastrophic injury, has lost a season by game 2. No team in NFL history. So we're going to be good. And I hope that dissuades you a little bit there. But we're going to get it back to the Giants in the offensive line. The Giants, like I said, the Giants are, to me, are third in this ranking for the offensive line. You have Andrew Thomas. You know, I mean, that right there. That right there tells you something. You got fucking Andrew Thomas. If you got Big Francis, and you have continuity in the rest of the line, even with John Runyon, even with JMS, even with Jermaine Illuminor. So you have the continuity in the line. So you're fine. You're going to be, like I said, we are hopefully going to be rising with the bookends. I saw a comment about Evan Neal. Hold on. I want to see that Evan Neal. I want to go back up to that Evan Neal comment. Yeah, I saw he was at Rams practice. Preach. Hated the Evan Neal pick 2. Couldn't play the position. I spoke to before the draft. I spoke to a former offensive lineman. He played in college, never really matriculated that much into the pros, but he told me his biggest concerns was Neal getting out of the box. That he was going to have to use his size and his length and his balance because he lacked the agility with his footwork. And we actually talked about that. And I thought that, you know, if he could get together with that, it would be okay, but he never did. Offensive lineman number 4 on the bottom of the tier, even with Laramie Tunstall. You're looking at the Commanders. I'm not going to go through everything the Commanders have done off season because you know what? To me, the Commanders are the Commanders. You have to, if you're going to be honest about it, you're going to have to rank the Commanders at the bottom of the pile. I think there's a big enough divide between the Giants and the Commanders that you're gonna make it. It's gonna be obvious. And I feel bad because, you know, with Jayden Daniels, he's not Samuel L. Jackson. He's not Mr. Glass, but he's a guy that you know is going to have some issues. Now, staying on the offensive side of the ball, you know what we got to do? We got to run over to the wide receiver position. I'm going to start at the bottom of this list because when you have Terry McLaurin and Luke McCaffrey, listen, Terry McLaurin is I don't know how old Terry McLaurin is. I think he's got to be at least 497 years old. But when you're also backed up by Luke McCaffrey, you're number 4 on this list. You are number 4 easy. If I'm going to go number 3, and it's an interesting number 3 only because of the fact that if Malik Nabers is healthy, I think the Giants are 2 on this list. Listen, Dallas is number 1. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got George Pickens, you got Turbin. You're number 1 right there. You have 2 top 10 caliber wide receivers. When Philadelphia traded A.J. Brown and got Lemon, and they still have Devontae Smith, I think you still have an explosive group with your guys. I think Devontae Smith is going to have he's going to have to step up Marquez Hollywood Brown, I'm not overconfident about, but is he better than Darius Slayton? They're probably on the same level. And you have no idea what Lemon is. But you have 3 explosive guys. You have 3 quick guys. And right now, if you're looking at the Giants, you're probably doing, Nabers, Slayton, and Darnell Mooney. If Nabers is there, I'm thinking the Giants are second on this list if Nabers is there. But we keep hearing the same things over and over again with Nabers. You also have that Marquez Valdez over in, I think Jonathan Mingo is over in Dallas as well. So you have to look at it. You have to look at it that way. Giants are 2 with Malik Nabers. Giants are 2 on this list because Malik Nabers is better than Devontae Smith, Brown, or Lemon. Plain and simple. But without Malik Nabers on this list, you got yourself a little bit of a problem. I thought I saw James Williams, my brother, in the chat. Let me get back up here and let me go through the chat before we get to the rest of the position. Christmas Perry says Jaden Daniels darts has a lot to prove. You're right, Davey. Davey says, Tim, so which rookie player has the most potential to surprise on the Giants or in the league? Because it's funny because how can you say that a guy picked as high as he was is going to be a surprise? I think Reese is going to show more instinct at the inside linebacker position and be a hybrid linebacker, not a hybrid linebacker safety, a hybrid linebacker where he plays both the interior and the outside. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And I think it's in regards to his ability to play. Is he going to have one of the best rookie seasons? It's funny. I don't know. I just think that he is going to be a guy that's going to come into this league. I think he is. Is he going to be a Lawrence Taylor with his 133 tackles and his 9.5 unofficial sacks? Is he going to be a Luke? We got to remember Luke Kuechly when he came into the league, he had 164 tackles, 8 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, and a sack. Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2011, won the Defensive Player of the Year in 2013. If I'm going to take a look at Reese and compare him to a modern day player, I was thinking about this yesterday. And a lot of times I got to think about this stuff because I have to, because it makes my brain hurt. But if I had to think, funky town. What's up, my brother? What's up, Big Don? How you doing, my brother? But if I have to think of this, it's funny. I was thinking about this. I'm going to talk about this, I think, a little bit more tomorrow. If there was a rookie season that I wanted Reese to emulate, if there was a player that I thought he could be comparable to, and I was thinking about this, I could see in the right defensive set, I could see Reese being a Patrick Willis type. 2007 Patrick Willis, 174 combined tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He was a tackling machine, and he was the anchor of that 49er defense. He was the 2007 Defensive Rookie of the Year, first team All-Pro, and voted to the Pro Bowl. Do I think he's going to reach that pinnacle, Reese? I don't know, but I think in the right system, if you want to take a look at one of the best rookie seasons in regards to tackling, in regards to doing things correctly on the field and having an immediate impact, I'm going to go I'm going to have to go 2007 Patrick Willis. That's just where I'm going to have to go. LeVar Arrington. No, LeVar Arrington played for Penn State. LeVar Arrington played for Penn State, so it's not going to be LeVar Arrington. But I kept telling people, everyone's just going to have to be, everyone's just, you guys are going to be, you're going to be interested. It's going to be interesting. Hit there's Big James. What's up, Big James? Hit that like button, my brother. I just sent you a text message this morning. I won't be ignored, Dan. That means call me. What's up? Timmy GM says, Vinny G, salute to my brothers and yours. WK said, what percentage do you think Dart has the sophomore slump? I don't see it happening only because of the staff. I don't count this as Jaxson Dart's sophomore year. Excuse me. I've said that already. I don't count this as his sophomore year. I count this as his rookie season. You had and I'm not going to get into it as much as we have in the past. You have a guy that you had two head coaches do him a disservice by not creating an NFL quarterback. They ran the Ole Miss offense most of the time. They didn't teach him to completely read the field. They didn't teach him proper footwork. They didn't teach him a lot because they were there. You could say it if you want and not say it if you want, but I'm going to say it. They were there to win games last year. That was Kafka's. That's what Kafka wanted to do because he wanted the job. And Brian Daboll's trying to save his job. They did not create an NFL quarterback. So I kind of count this as his rookie season. So I'm going to give him a little bit more leeway this year, Jaxson Dart, than I normally would a second-year quarterback. What's up, James? Everyone loves James Williams in his house. What do we else got here? Morning, Joe Spano. Morning, we got everyone saying good morning. Matthew, what's up, my brother? Matthew, Tim, and the OBB family. I love Reese film more than I thought I would. I'm going to tell you, Greg the Giants. People will say, well, Tim, you wanted Sonny Styles. I did. Because I thought there was no way in hell that Reese was going to fall to the Giants. I did not think there was a snowball chance in hell that he was going to fall to the Giants. I didn't think Big Francis was going to drop to 10. And I didn't watch as much tape on Reese that I should have because of the fact that I assumed he was either going to go 2 or 3. When he was sitting there, it's like, okay, he's literally sitting there. He's literally waiting. What are you going to do? And the Giants did the right thing. The Giants went and got the player positionally that they needed. Evan, what's up, Evan? Says, hey, Tim. WK says, can you do the running back room? If so, are the Giants number dos? I don't want to. First of all, Cam Scatterbo was at the Fan Fest thing. And he's fucking doing the backflips again. And he almost busted his ass and fell off the fucking stage. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck in your brain tells you that that's what you should be doing? If the Giants are potentially relying on you to be their John Riggins, to be their Derrick Henry, to be their bell cow back, and you are sitting there doing backflips, I don't get it. If I had to look at this, I would say the Giants on this list are probably going to be 3. When you have Saquon Barkley heading up your unit over in Philadelphia, yes, while he had what they would refer to as a down season after a guy ran for 2,000 yards and had the most yards in NFL history in an entire season, including the playoffs, there's going to be a little bit of a drop. I think Williams as the lead back in Dallas after signing that 3-year deal, he's proven himself. He's a high volume runner. He's good. And then you have guys like Jaden Blue and Malik Davis behind him. You got to go number 3. You got to go with the Giants. And I'm looking at this from a true perspective. Because I got to go like I said, I'm going to go Barkley, Williams 1 and 2. If I'm going individually, Cam Scatterbo is only 3 because I don't know what Merritt is going to do over with the Commanders. And the Commanders also have another young guy. What's his name in White? So I don't know. And White is in his fifth season after spending 4 years over with the Buccaneers. So it's weird. I kind of have to say, you know what I have to say again? This is a tie for 3rd. It's going to be 3A and 3B. That's what I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to say 3A, 3B on this list because of the fact that I don't think either Washington or the Giants have this premier back. A lot of people will sit there and tell you, well, Tyrell Tracy's the only back to have 1,000 total yards receiving in this and this back-to-back years. Well, that's great, but I need a guy that's a bell cow back. I need a guy that is going to be you have certain pitchers in baseball, and this is more going back to the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. They were referred to as inning eaters. I need a high volume back. I need a reliable high volume back. I need an inning eater. And can Cam Scatterboo be that guy? Cam Scatterboo's longest run was 24 yards. Tyrone Tracy, for some bizarre reason, only flips the switch like the last 4 weeks of the season. Now, a lot of times the Giants are so far out of it and they're playing very, very low-end competition. It's just, I still think that the Giants, they need that number one guy.
All right, one. We're going for one.
We need that number one guy. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow with Gary Myers. We're going to talk about available free agents that the Giants need to look at before camp or even during camp. Because I think the running back position, as much as we have poured assets into the wide receiver room, into the defensive tackle room, I am so afraid, and I've talked about this numerous times, I am so afraid that we are an ankle injury from Cam Scatterboo and a shoulder injury away from Tyrone Tracy, seeing Eric Gray and Turbo Miller as your starting running backs. I'd see neither of those guys as high volume runners, reliable high volume runners. I don't see either of those guys that way. Trent says the Eagles offensive line, when healthy, is still the best. I agree. Do the O-line. We just did the O-line. Let's see here. Trent says, as long as Cam and Landon come back strong, this team will dominate early. Yeah, they will. I'm not going to lie to you. Not going to lie and tell you they won't. The Rams are going to kill us. Listen, I'm not saying, first of all, it's July. I'm not saying any team is going to kill any other team in July. That's crazy. But I will say this, Greg, if I was a betting man, and if there was a place to go to bet, where would that be? Oh, that'd be the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, number one sportsbook in America. If you go over to FanDuel and you go over to the sportsbook and you go over to the NFL and see who or whom has the best chance odds-wise of making and winning the Super Bowl, you have the Rams at plus 550. And you have the Seahawks. There is a very large gap between the odds between the best team, which is perceived to be the best team, the Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks, Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills. You have the Rams at plus 550. You have the Seahawks, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills at plus 1,100. You were basically saying that they're almost double the chance of winning the Super Bowl than any other team in the league in July. But of course, not many games are won in July. Giants are at plus 6,500. They have risen they're like the Phoenix. They have risen from the ashes. They used to be at they were at one point plus 8,000. Now they're again at plus 6,500. They have leapfrogged the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 7,000. The Atlanta Falcons at plus 8,000, the Panthers at 8,000, and the Saints have dropped. The Saints used to be at plus 6,500. So the Giants have actually leaped the Saints before anything has even started. I am going to take the Miami Dolphins at plus 75,000 because that's just a number you have to take. They always say if anyone offers you a bet when it's $1 million to 1, you always take a $10 bet. You always take a $10 flyer on that. But the Giants at plus 6,500, I still think that's about right. I still think the Giants are not at the bottom, but they are just in the middle of a third tier team right now. All that can change through camp. You can have Malachi Fields can turn out to be a young Jerry Rice or a Marcus Golston. You have Cam Scatterboo could be the reincarnation of John Riggins. You don't know. Tyrone Tracy could find his inner Emmitt Smith. I don't know. Jaxson Dart could be the next Steve Young. Not left-hander, but I don't know. So at plus 6,500 right here on the mighty FanDuel, that makes a lot of sense to me. The Giants are still 2.5-point dogs against the Dallas Cowboys during the home opener. Of course, that's part of the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, number one sportsbook in America. And like I said, they got casino games, they got fantasy, they got racing, they got FanDuel TV. And I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to tell you it a million times. When you download it on your phone, the FanDuel app is one of the most fan-friendly apps to use that I have ever seen. So make sure you go over to the mighty FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com, the number one sports book in America. Let's see here. What do we got here? Let's see. I suggest they start Winston week 2, sacrificial lamb maneuver. No, you're going to be fine. Trenton says, if the Giants win week 1 in Dallas, I believe they can use the momentum and have a winning record this year. I kind of want to say that, but the football purist in me, taking off the fan hat. So there we go. Got the fan hat right here. I'm taking off the fan hat. I don't want to put the fan hat out because I don't want to mess up my hair. Taking off the fan hat. Momentum. One of the dumbest statements I ever heard. And I heard this a while ago, and I can't remember what content creator said, but one of the dumbest statements I ever heard. I think it was the tennis players. They said that the Giants winning the last 2 games of the season, that momentum was going to carry them into the next year. I think this was in the 24 season. That momentum of those wins were going to propel them in 25, which is they did. They went from a 3-win team to a 4-win team. Momentum week from week is a good thing, yes. But that early in the season, there can be something called a false deity. You have the gold statue. Once you get into the money portion of the season, that second half of the season, when you start winning games, when you start building momentum, that's what you want. You want to be like the Knicks. People forget the Knicks had a terrible 14-game run in January. It's when they flipped the switch on in May that everything went well. So to me, I can't say week 1 win in Dallas because I've seen too many week 1 Warriors that have an explosion that first game, that first week of the season, and then they win 4 games. To me, it is winning week 1. The reason I want to win week 1, because to me, it's a stepping stone for this franchise. It is I'm not going to say paramount, but it is you can use it to propel yourself as a head coach and say, listen, we are better than people expect. We need to focus week to week. Because the Giants, one thing, like I said, if we get into week 13 and 14 and we're starting winning and then we're building, then I can say yes to momentum. Because the problem is this, you also have to realize your schedule is pretty easy outside of that Ram game and the Dallas game for a little bit. And then you come crashing back down to earth with some of your competition. So I need that momentum mid-season, not week 1, because I want to have this. I want week 1 as a building block, not for the season, but for the franchise. To say, listen, you have been downtrodden so many times in reference to coming out of the box in every season in the last 10 years. Here's an opportunity. Here's a chance. It's like when we lost in 76. I was there. I was a youngster. Not only the home opener, the stadium opener for the Meadowlands, the state-of-the-art stadium. We were no longer a garbage team playing in a garbage stadium. We had this. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. The Meadowlands was a dump even when they made it, but it was a 70s dump. We had all the pomp. We had all the circumstance. We had momentum going into that game through preseason, and we lost. I want to win because I want this team to understand, and I want the fan base to understand, and I want the league to understand. This is a new era. This is a new team. This is a new franchise. What we used to do in the past is gone in the past. What we do now in the present is what we are going to do and what we're going to focus on. Aaron Donald has rust. He wasn't effective his last season, took a couple of years off, going to stop thinking he's going to be a dominant force. He's going to take some time. I'm not thinking Aaron Donald's going to be a dominant force. Aaron Donald's worst season of his career was his last season. Aaron Donald, all he did is get older. It's not like he pulled the Ponce de Leon and went over to the Fountain of Youth and decided to get younger. We'll get into that one day. The Ponce de Leon technically never was looking for the Fountain of Youth, which was an interesting, if I've seen some documentaries about this. It was actually Christopher Columbus that started the rumor as a way to discredit Ponce de Leon, because Christopher Columbus' son was going to become the governor of an island in the Pacific that Ponce de Leon was the governor already of. It's actually a really interesting story. So I'm not going to get into that here. We got to jump to the super chat because all super chats go to the Phillips and Children's Hospital. Top shout out to my cousin, top 10, North Carolina. Big Don's cousin. I'm not going to say whom, and I was going to ask you if I could talk about this now, but I'm not going to talk about it. Big Don's cousin is a top 10 recruit, wide receiver recruit at a high school, and has signed with a Division I school. He just signed, and Big Don sent me the list the other day of all the top 10 wide receivers, and his cousin was right there. And big shout out to Big Don's cousin. Hopefully he has a productive career, gets that big NIL deal, and then transfers to like Ohio State. That's my goal. That's what I want to see, because I want to say to Big Don, yeah, I know him. Well, I can say I know you. But congratulations to Big Don's. Everyone give a big shout out to Big Don's cousin. Made it all. Like I said, that in itself is that is a monumental achievement. So we got to give Big Don's cousin a shout out. My special says, let's see here. Our weekend link on the offensive line is center, and also right now right guard. I hear you, Spy Smasher. I keep saying it because we know who with Denard Wilson. We're going to talk about Denard Wilson too. Let's see. Tom says the championship game in New York versus the Rams will be a different story. Hey, I can wish. Listen, wish big. Why not? Wish as big as you want. Because at the end of the day, right now in July 19th, you're undefeated. You know, let it.
You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I am a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
Release the peacock. Have fun with it. Like I said, you are undefeated. The Giant fans revel. You are undefeated in July. So yes, dream big. I dreamed big about the Knicks all during the preseason and all a couple weeks of the season that we were taking this. And what did we end up doing? We did. Dream big. Best left tackle in the league when healthy. Let's be 100%. Let's be 100% honest. Best tackle in the league when healthy. And that is the caveat for Andrew Thomas and Giant fans that we have to remember all the time. Because when he is not healthy, that's when we have a little bit more of an issue. But when healthy, yes, he is the best left tackle in the entire league. 1,000%. I think the Giants at the Rams is going to be more competitive than people think. I actually do believe that as well. Game plan plus strong blocking offensive line keeps Dart from getting killed versus the Rams. 3-step drop. That's what's going to keep him from getting killed. The people hated Jason Garrett for a lot of reasons, but it was the game plan in Seattle against Russell Wilson and not defensively, but it was the game plan in Seattle in reference to how, and you have Colt McCoy, how he ran that game plan was probably one of the best game planned games that I've ever seen in the Giants, with the Giants. And I understand the score and I understand the lack of offense production. Wayne Gallman, who did not have a second or a third gear, who got dragged down behind on what should have been an easy touchdown. But the fact that he set that game up, Jason Garrett, so much for the third quarter. And I laughed because my wife and I were watching the game and they kept running the ball, barely passing. And I kept telling her, I said, they're going to take a deep shot early in the third, which they did. Because he had set up that. Now listen, if it didn't pay off, we wouldn't be talking about it, but he set up that deep shot for 30 minutes against a far superior team. And when it came, Colt McCoy made the play. And that's what I'm saying. Gameplay, to Joe Smiles' point, game planning is going to be the nuance of this entire situation for this week 2. Game plan this properly. My thing is this with the Rams: manage the clock. Keep the offense off the field of the Rams. Have extended drives. Now, they all don't have to produce points, but if you have a 6-minute drive, even if it ends in a punt, you have taken 6 minutes off the clock. You need to have at least 2 drives, I would say, of 10 plays or more. Minimum of 2 drives. And each of those drives are probably going to need to produce a points. You are going to have to kind of do what the Giants did in 90 in the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, who had one of the best offenses that the league had seen ever. You're going to have to control the clock. You're going to have to go find your O.J. Anderson. You are just going to have to pull the John Riggins moment when you go off tackle left over against the Miami Dolphins back in the early 80s. You're going to have to control it that way. So there's a chance. There's always that chance that you can shock the hell out of a team. You take a look again at how many people outside of Nickdom gave the Knicks a chance against the Spurs. I said Knicks in 4. I said it was a sweep, but I said the last 3 series were sweeps. So there was no way I was not going to say it was not going to be a sweep. You win game. You somehow win against the Rams.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
You somehow win against the Rams. I might sit there and talk about playoffs. And I'm saying, yes, that is a Herculean task. 1,000%. When do the Giants play in Miami preseason? I might have to go to that. They play August 22nd. Oh, I'm going to have to go. All right, I'm flying out to Miami. There's no show August 22nd. I'm flying out to Miami. But if you think of it this way, you beat the Cowboys, you beat the Rams, you're 2-0. You're 3-0 versus the Titans at home. You are 4-0 versus the Cardinals. I'm going to give us a loss at the Commanders because the Commanders always fuck with us. So we're 4-1. I'm giving us the Saints win, so you're 5-1. You are 5-1 going into the Texans game. So you have the Texans in Philadelphia. So I'm going to go, you're now 5-3. I'm going to go 6 wins against the Commanders in November. I'm going to take a look at this and say, potentially, you're playing at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We know they're explosive offense, but I'm going to give the 7th win to the Jaguars. To us and the Jaguars. I'm going to give us the Browns game, which is going to be 8 wins. I think you have an opportunity at the Colts game. I don't think we're going to win the 49ers game. You're not going to win the Seattle game. You're not going to win the Lions game. But going into the last game of the season, you could potentially already have 8 wins. And you were going to have the Cowboys on the road and the Eagles at home. So if you are at 8 wins, I still think 9 wins get you into the wild card spot because you took the first 2 games of the season. There is a potential opportunity that the last game on January 3rd and January 10th could be paramount to the success of the Giants potentially making the playoffs in 2026. If the Giants win the Super Bowl 2027, you should rip your 2086 pack open and show. How about that? Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. Those packs keep going up in price. I have the Fleers Michael Jordan rookie packs over into hermetically sealed cases because of the fact that those packs go up in price. And if I got them graded, they would probably go up. They would probably even go up the price. The price would probably even go up a hell of a lot more. But there is no way that I'm opening those packs. I am a betting man. I'm not gonna lie to you, but there is no way. Can you see him? Here we go. You can't see them. They're actually behind Tapatia, Tiki Barber, and Apollo Creed. You can't see him, but you kind of see the one pack right there. He's right over there. He's right next to. I never thought it. Did you ever think there was a day in your life that you would sit there and say, I have my Michael Jordan Fleers packs behind Tapatia, Tiki Barber, Apollo Creed, and a turkey. I don't even think that would sum that up. Oh my goodness gracious! Great balls of fire. That's my sound wall. That's my sound wall because we are professionals here. We all know that. We are just such professionals here in the online Big Blue land, and that is that's Jalen Brunson right there. That's a 3D printing of Jalen Brunson next to with Lawrence Taylor peeking out behind him. My son actually made that for me. So let's see. Your Commanders won't win 5 games this year. Jaden Daniels is already an old man with an injury issue. Yeah, he's turned into an RG3. Greg Giant says Washington has an elite left tackle, Chris Paul, who is a very good Sam Collins, who's healthy, is a borderline elite guard, and now developing. Yeah, but that's developing. And I don't think Chris Paul is. I think he's good. And I think Sam I don't, I'm not. Laramie Tunstall, I'm not. Giants are 3 on the list. Sorry. I'm going Greg Giants. I'm going 3 with the Giants. Let's see. Your Smitty and Lemon are easily number 2 behind Dallas. Not going to lie. CD Lamb and Pickens are awesome players. Pickens is going to have a down year. Odds are, he probably will. Nabers is the best wide receiver in the division when healthy. I still go CD Lamb, Nabers, then Pickens when healthy. Because CD Lamb has done it. I remember when CD Lamb came out of college. I did so many videos about the Giants going after this guy because he was a different level guy to me. You have a guy that outside his rookie season has had 1,000-yard seasons 5 years in a row, who's got 41 touchdowns, who was a guy that he's a chain mover. And Malik Nabers, like I said, has only been healthy 1 year, so I can't put that at the top. So I would have to go CeeDee Lamb, healthy Malik Nabers, and then I would then have to go Pickens. Lemon will have 900 yards, 7 touchdowns. I can see that. I'm here with the funky town. Lemon has hamstring issues. But again, like I said, what happens in college is done because that's college and college is over. Trenton says, now the Eagles will be making lemonade all year. Joe Spano says, I'd take Bobby Jefferson Travis as the biggest rookie surprise. The 6th-round pick will make the team as a reader backup, will play 25% of the snaps with a strong run stop metrics. Here's my thing about that, Big Joe. A guy playing 25% of the snaps is going to be your surprise rookie. It's not really a surprise. He's coming into a thin run-stopping defensive line. If he didn't make the team and play 25% of the snaps, then I'd be a little bit surprised. Amen would love Patrick Willis, him, and Navarro Bowman. I'm going to say it again for those that missed it. Reese, to me, can have 2007 Patrick Willis impact. Patrick Willis, 176 combined tackles, 4.5 sacks. I forgot how many tackles for losses. Was the defensive rookie of the year. He was also all pro bowler. I really think that Reese can have that similar type of impact. Because I'm not saying he's a hybrid. I'm going to say this over and over again. Not saying he's a hybrid. Hybrid in regards to an Isaiah Simmons, no. Reese to me is a hybrid linebacker in the fact that you can play him on the inside and the outside.
That's what she said.
That's what I'm looking at. Tim, your predictions. Who leads the team in tackles? Also, your opposing teams. Which side do they run the ball, left or right? Tremaine Edmonds is going to lead this team in tackles. And then you're going to be behind Reese. AJ Hawk, just for me. I'm going to tell you this again, like the Solomon Wilcox thing. Solomon Wilcox was a great guest. surprise guest. I got a couple other surprise guests. Like I said, we got Gary Myers on tomorrow, but I have to confirm the date. And I'm as a former collegiate defensive player myself, I'm kind of excited about this. Right now, I think we are probably looking at the 27th or the 28th. We are going to have, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. As I said it before, if you want to talk about Michigan State, a legendary Ohio State linebacker who is going to be on in 2 weeks. I'm hoping 2 weeks, maybe sooner. But I have some pre-records to do next week. But we're going to have, and then I think we're going to do a live. So that's why I'm hoping it's going to be on a Monday or a Tuesday. But we are going to have a legendary Ohio State linebacker who did play in the pros come in and talk to us for a half hour about Reese and what his impact is going to be on the Giants. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure, and I will make sure I give everyone plenty of advance notice. Everyone thought the Jets were taking. I actually thought the Jets were taking Bailey. I did think they were going to take Bailey, but I didn't think he was going to fall past 3. Cardinals fucked up the whole draft. Edmonds will lead the team in tackles with 120. I don't see a dominant side on the defensive line either. What? Are you serious? What are we talking about? Scat, like I said, Scat's at the Fanatics Fest and does another fucking backflip. If you didn't see the video, he almost busts his ass and falls backwards. It's like, what the fuck, bro? What are you doing? I mean, seriously, what the fuck were you thinking? And what the fuck were you doing? So I want to make sure that people make sure you're hitting the like button as well, please. If you hit that like button, that would help us out exponentially. Spot on. I don't see teams running up the middle. I don't see the teams. You know what's funny? WK, you're right. I think with DJ Reader, Reese, and Tremaine Edmonds, I don't see teams going up the middle on the Giants this year. I also don't see teams going up in the middle of the Giants this year only because of the fact, if we're going to be honest, that why would you? Just go off tackle. And just go off tackle repeatedly until the Giants come up and stop the run. What do we see here? Scat is pissing me off. If I was management, I agree. I thought the same thing. Scat is an idiot. That's gotta chill. Yeah, the whole Scat thing. You know what? And I keep trying to explain. It's the Jameis Winston thing. It's the Jameis Winston phenomenon. It's the Jameis Winston phenomenon. Everyone loves Jameis Winston. And then you hit a period of time with Jameis Winston for the Buccaneers. It was 2019. For the Saints, it was 2022. For the Browns, it was that year where you just kind of get sick of the antics. That you're kind of just, that his off-field persona overshadows what his ability is on the field. I've never seen a backup quarterback outside of Tommy DeVito in New York and maybe Jeff Hostetler, but only in the Super Bowl, who is getting so much cred than Jameis Winston when he only threw for 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and only completed 55% of his passes. And it kind of reaches a crescendo where you're just kind of like, I'm kind of done with the bullshit. Number 2 is a pretty good description of the Giants running backs. If we're going to bring up running backs, does Singletary get released? No, Singletary does not get released because Singletary to me right now is really your only true professional running back. If you're an old Giant fan, he's Tony Galbraith. Tony Galbraith came over from the Minnesota Vikings back in the mid 80s and was part of the Giants team. And he was basically just a third down back, but he was a professional. And back that time you had Joe Morris racking up all those yards, but you still needed, then he went out and got O.J. Anderson, but you still needed that professional third down guy, that professional back. And that's what Devin Singletary is. I loved Tony Galbraith because Tony Galbraith used to, number 30, he used to crack me up. Old Man River. Anyone remembers the Giants? Tony Galbraith would run and just plant his ass in the middle of the field. And he had this spin move. And the spin move was awesome because it looked like he was literally running in slow motion. NFL Films did not have to slow it down because it was already slow enough, but somehow he would still get the first down. Tim, I don't bet. Is there different odds on FanDuel for the Giants making the playoffs in the Super Bowl? No, actually the odds are the same. Tim, did you do a Knicks video? I am disappointed about this BS signing. No, I did not do a Knicks video yet. We are going to do a Knicks video. It's a confidence booster. Yes, it would be a confidence booster if we won it. Greg says, I remember the 2013 Houston Texans 2-0, only to lose the next 14 games, finished 2-14. Javion Clowney, first overall. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's momentum early in the season can at times be pyrite. For those that do not know, pyrite is what they refer to as fool's gold. It looks like gold, smells like gold, but it's not gold. While gold is worth $3,900 an ounce, pyrite's worth negative 42 cents. It's a rock. So sometimes winning the first two games of the season, if you're not a truly building team, it's pyrite. WK says we need the Giants to win week 1. They haven't won week 1 since 2022 against the Titans. You're right. And we technically probably shouldn't even have lost that game because they missed the field goal. But we all forget that. Joe Spano says it's rare for the momentum to carry over from a previous season, especially if the games you are win late in the season are meaningless. Good point. I agree. Congrats to your cousins, Big Don. Those that do not know, Big Don's cousins, that's Don, not Dom, because I know we have Don and Dom, but that's Big Don. Big Don from Texas. His cousin is who just signed with a Division I school, was listed as one of the top 10 wide receivers in high school in state of North Carolina, and he just signed his letter of intent. So big congratulations to me. I'm gonna be there, and when he becomes famous and he becomes a New York Football Giant, I'm going to use my cachet with Big Don, and I'm gonna have his cousin on. Good luck to Big Don's cousin. Davey says, remember, if we win Super Bowl in 2027, you rip up your two. No, I'm never ripping up those packs. You can't stop being right, Small. WK says, until Kayvon and Burns can stop the run game, I see teams running to the right side. I see teams running to the right side and the left side, because of the fact that you really have for all the defensive tackles that we're bringing in. And I don't know if we're running a 3-4. I don't know if we are running. I don't know what we're running. You had Tyler Newman come out and say that all the defensive players are ecstatic to play for Denard Wilson. That what they're seeing with Denard Wilson is they're very excited about this defense. And I remember early on in Tennessee, we talked about this at mandatory minicamp. One of the Titans players, when he first came in, they asked when they first came in regards to when Denard Wilson became the defensive coordinator when we replaced Shane Bowen, they asked the player, what do you love about Denard Wilson? And he said, and I thought it was very apropos. He goes, we love playing for Denard Wilson because he makes us fix things. He goes, and he didn't say Shane Bowen's name, but he was like, in the previous regime, if we did something wrong and it didn't work, we just didn't go back and do it. We did something else. If we do something wrong here with Denard Wilson, we go back and break down why it was wrong and we redo it till we get it right. There is a difference between a coach and a teacher. And I think Denard Wilson is both. Just going to throw that out there. What's up, Big Kevin? How you doing, brother? Wow, Tim just found a path of the Giants to win 9 games. I don't think so, but let's hope Tim's right. Oh, I don't think so either, because I don't think you're winning week 2. But literally, if you think about this, if you go 2-0, even with the portion of your schedule that is horrendous, there's still a way to capture 8 wins. If you win the first 2 games, there is still a way to capture 8 wins before the Dallas-Philadelphia game, before there's 2 January games. There is a way. You can see it, right? There is that path. But it's all predicated after winning 2 games of the first 2 games of the season. But there is a way. There is a way. I have a plan. I always make people nervous when I tell them I have a plan. I always joke because I always say my friends aren't the smartest because they hang out with me, and I always love it because they always think I'm the leader. So they're always. So I remember one day we were doing something, and my friend Paul was painfully honest. I told him, I said, "Got this, man. I got a plan." And I remember he looked over at my friend Quaddy, and Paul goes, "Quaddy." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Tim has a plan." Quaddy goes, "Oh, we're fucked." so I have a plan. Pillsbury Doughboy is my favorite. Yes, that was actually a gift from a client. Let's see here. What's up, Big Phil? How you doing, my brother? Yes, just want to say yes, because the rookies have a bigger expectations as Reese or Sis have a big year. It's expected based on the draft position. Hood and Fields will make an impact, but BJT could have similar impact. But here, okay, John, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for you for a second. Where's Abdul Carter selected last year? And what happened with Abdul Carter? And actually, Reese is selected 2 spots below. And if you have a guy that's got a combined 174 tackles, 4 sacks, and is a Pro Bowler and All-Pro, I think that's a bigger expectation than anything else. Vinny G says, Tibbs didn't think Tibbs or Carter, but Reese is the real deal. We were talking about the run game. Listen, if I'm any team in the league right now, I'm just going to go off tackle left, off tackle right. I'm staying away from the middle of the field because you got DJ Reader, you got Tremaine Edmonds, and you got Reese in the middle of the field. I know there's a weakness on the outside. I don't need Brian Burns. I don't need Brian Burns to be the ultimate run stopper. I don't need him to be the elite run stopper. I need him to have the giddy app to go after the passer. I need consistency out of the pass rush. This is a guy that had 16.5 sacks, 67 tackles, 39 solo, 28 assists, 31 quarterback hits. I need a consistent pass rush from either side. Brian Burns plays better with his hand in the dirt. The only thing I worry about Brian Burns, and we talked about this, is the curse of Brian. I call this the curse of Brian Burns. We've showed this before. What do we see here? And I always take away the rookie season because rookie seasons never really count to me. You have 2 9-sack seasons in a row, 12.5. 2 8-sack seasons in a row, 16.5. The curse of Brian Burns tells me that this would potentially be, if you go back through his track record, this could potentially be an 8-sack season. Can Brian Burns break the curse? But again, if you take a look at it, it is consistency.
This place is cursed.
So that's going to be my big question. Can he avoid the Brian Burns 2-season slump? Not even slump, because 8.5 sacks is still good. But can he avoid that? I don't know. But if I am any team in the NFC East, if I am any team in this league, the first thing I'm doing, which a lot of people have mentioned, is I am running directly at the Giants line on the exterior. I am running at Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm running at Brian Burns. I am running at Abdul Carter. Not even thinking twice about it. Because I know, I know there's a lack of run support also as well on their corners. Paulson Adebo, Greg Newsome are not the best at stopping the run. You're expecting a lot out of Colton Hood, but I still think Colton Hood has the opportunity to take that starting corner position away from Greg Newsome. I don't understand where everyone thinks this, where I don't get where everyone looks at Greg Newsome and says, well, this is a guy. This is, we can rely on this guy. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. This is a guy that has not been proficient at stopping the pass for multitudes of seasons. I love it because Greg Newsome's quarterback rating against 100.7, 97.4, and 107 the last 3 seasons. His season before that was 112.5. Average yard of completion, 15.3, 12.3, 12.3, 12.2. Yards allowed, 686, only 234 and 25, but he only played in 5 games. So you extrapolate that, it's almost 700 yards, and only playing in 11 games, he gave up 452. For an average yard of completion of 12.2, 12.3, 12.3, 15.3 going back to 2024. And I love it, in reference to the amount of that the ball travels in the air for Greg Newsome, this is the best part. He's got the Aaron Robinson syndrome. Outside of 14, the ball traveled 10.1 yards downfield with a yak of 5. Then the ball traveled 12.1 yards downfield per completion with a yak with only like a 2-yard yak. Last year, the ball traveled 13.3 yards down the field with a 2-yard yak, and the year before it was 11.4. So at least he makes the tackle, but the problem is this: I'm not paying, like with Aaron Robinson, with like everyone else on this team, I'm not paying you to make the tackle. And he doesn't even make that many tackles. Last year, combined 29, year before 23, 52, 27. I have no idea where people look at Greg Newsome and say, he should start alongside Paulson Adebo. I don't know, guys. I actually did a Jaxson Dart versus Jaden Daniels video on my channel. Dak versus Jalen video comes out tonight. Well, Trent, you forgot to tell me what's your name of your channel again, Trent? I forget. And how come I haven't been invited on as a guest yet? It's all fun and games until someone goes on IR again. That's a funny, good point. I always question Tibbs and Carter's picks, but Reese is the real deal. I didn't question the Kayvon Thibodeau pick, and I probably should have looked deeper into it, because we talked about it, and I mentioned it on the draft videos. I always heard rumors that Greg, you want to come on? Sure. Hold on, Greg. All right, here you go, Greg. Oops. Copied. Hold on, Greg. Sure, Greg, can come on. You ask, I allow. I kept hearing rumors and speculations that Kayvon Thibodeau dogged it a lot in Oregon. And I heard it from multiple sources. Didn't think of it, didn't say anything. Well, I did say I heard it. But I went back and I tried to watch a lot of video, and I couldn't find plays that I thought he was taking plays off. I couldn't find them. But I kept hearing those rumblings and rumors that he was not while he was very boisterous, while he was very verbose, but I didn't see, but I just didn't see what some people were telling me. Then you watch him play here, and it's like, sometimes you watch him, and we dogged Deonte Banks, but sometimes I watch Kayvon Thibodeau, and he just kind of gives up. It's like, plays over there. I go back to the Jet game. You sack Zach Wilson, you close out the game. He seemed like he stopped his pursuit. And Abdul Carter, I've said Abdul Carter before. Abdul Carter to me has just such a what's up, Big Greg?
Hey, what's up, Tim?
What's going on, my brother? I can hear you just fine. You're fading
this new setup and all.
You're fading a little bit. You're fading a little bit in and out.
I know. I just got this camera and this setup and stuff, so just trying to see how this all works out.
On your slider, if you're on StreamYard, there's a slider for the green screen. You gotta adjust that, and that'll stop you from moving in and out on your background.
I'm still trying to figure this all out.
Oh, no worries, brother. That's what happens. That's why we're here. While you're here, I got to drop this guy in because I also got to drop this guy in real quick because he's an Eagle fan. We always got to drop in the Eagle fan.
What's up, boys?
Big Trent, my brother. What's going on? Trenton? I don't know, man. I don't know. So you're Soaring Wings is your new Eagle channel?
Yep, Soaring Wing Show. I'm still trying to figure out how to change my channel handle so it doesn't say like Trent Wright and then my long list of numbers.
You have to go under Google, and then once you go under there's a little box on the like on the screen here on the browser. There's a little box on the left, on the right hand side. You click on that, and then you can change your name from there.
Gotcha. Thanks, buddy.
So you just you just click on that there's a little circle, and then you can go into your account, and then you can change all your stuff. You can change your profile name.
Awesome.
So I see Greg's still working. Out the kinks, but I like the skyline.
Don't mind me. If I want to take off the green screen, so but.
Yeah, that's sometimes the best way to do it. Trent, we were talking about the Eagles and their offensive line a few minutes ago. And I'm gonna say this. I said if healthy, that is probably your best positional group, if healthy. But I also worry about the fact that I don't worry about it, that I'm happy that AJ Brown's gone. But I think while you have one group, if healthy, could be the number one ranked group in the league. I think they're number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you took a huge hit on your wide receiver positions because if Marquez Brown is potentially your second or third guy, Hollywood Brown is okay, even going back to his Cardinal days, but he's not AJ.
I think Dontavian Wicks is going to be our number 3 because we gave him a lot more guaranteed money. I think almost $11 million, and Hollywood Brown is like on the bare minimum. So I have a feeling Wicks is going to have more of a bigger role. He's also one of those traditional X receivers. Don't mind my baby crying in the background.
Well, maybe
you okay, hon?
I would say maybe you should check on the baby crying.
I'll go take a look here. Let me see.
Go take a look. But I think you're relying a lot on like I said, Devontae Wicks. I'm a Packers fan, so I've seen this guy play over 48 games, and this is a guy that's best season was his rookie year, and he's played with a pretty good quarterback in Malik Willis. I mean Jordan Love, but this isn't a guy that even in a crowded wide receiver room really stood out in Green Bay at all.
I think he's going to have a role in the offense simply just because he's more of the X-type receiver that A.J. Brown was. Obviously nowhere close in terms of ability, but what we really needed to do was make sure we added some physicality to the room. Drafting Lemon and Stowers was really good, in my opinion, especially to work over the middle of the field, which we haven't been able to utilize over the last couple of years. But if you look at our receiver room, other than Wicks, it's a bunch of small guys. Like Smitty's awesome. I love Smitty, but we need that physicality. So I think that's why Wicks is on the team. Probably for those red zone targets, if I were to imagine.
Wicks is only 6 feet, 200 pounds.
That's bigger than Devontae and Lemon.
I was gonna say you got some small guys. Greg, explain to Trenton, because he's an Eagle fan, so talk slowly. Explain to Trenton how getting rid of AJ Brown was probably the best thing to happen to the Giants in this division.
Honestly, I don't know why they traded AJ Brown. I don't know why with the cap room and the cap hit they were going to take, unless the Patriots is taking that whole entire hit or they're taking half of it or however that's working. But unless Mekhi Lemon's that guy, which I don't know, I didn't have enough time to watch Mekhi Lemon's film because I more watched the offensive line stuff. But if Mekhi Lemon's that guy, you guys shouldn't have any problems. But if it would have been A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and then Lemon in the slot, I would have been terrified. But seeing that A.J. Brown's gone, unless Mekhi Lemon's that guy, which that's not fair to put those amount of expectations on him his rookie year. I think you guys took a serious downgrade on your wide receiver core. So
now
I would agree with you both, gentlemen. I'm thinking long term. I think by year 2, Lemon's going to be able to replicate Smitty's production that Smitty used to put up as the WR2. I think realistically we can expect anywhere from 750 yards to maybe like 850 yards and 7 touchdowns for Lemon. And as long as Smitty takes that next jump, sort of like Jaxson Smith and Njigba did when DK Metcalf left, gets up to maybe around 1,400 yards, I think we're going to be all right. It might take a hit this year, but in the long run, we're going to be better off, especially because A.J. Brown hated the quarterback. And you can't have a receiver that hates the quarterback be on the team long term.
But the problem is this, and here's the issue with that. And I'm not going to correct you, but I'm going to correct you. Who fucking cares if the wide receiver hates the quarterback? If the quarterback hates the wide receiver, that's a different thing because you just don't look that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw the ball to a wide receiver and he hates the quarterback and he takes it upon himself not to give the full amount of effort to catch the ball, that's something different. Mm-hmm. But to me, I've never cared if a wide receiver hated Terrell Owens hated everyone. At one point, it hated Donovan McNabb, even though that was his quarterback, man. Oh, that was Tony Romo. But if you take a look at it, I'm just glad you took a guy, even though he was very truculent, and moved him not only out of the division but out of the conference. And then, like I said, I just can't see Lemon and I can't see Smith picking up, those extra yardage because you got a guy in A.J. Brown who never missed 1,000-yard season in Philadelphia. Averaged 9 touchdowns over 4 years. He had 11 the first, and then he had 7 after that. And this was a guy that had I thought it was more of the offensive coordinator issue in 2025 more than anything else than I thought it was the play of the quarterback and the play of the wide receiver.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Kevin Patullo is basically a domestic terrorist. He's no longer welcome in the city of Philadelphia. I would say at least half of those negative articles that came out about Hurts, he was probably the anonymous source. However, I'm thinking again long term, but in the short term, do you think, Tim? I'll ask you this question. AJ had about 1,008 receiving yards last year, so good season, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think between Lemon, Hollywood Brown, and Wicks, we can create that production in the aggregate, like 1,000 yards between those three?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question with a question because that's sometimes what we do here. So you are now needing to replace one guy's production with 3 guys, with three different players. What player or what 2 players are you taking away from other positional groups to add on or subtract because of the fact that you would have to replace one guy's production with 3 people? And honestly, if you're replacing one guy's production with 3 people, is that not detrimental to your team because you no longer have the so-called primary target?
I think a part of my optimism is just I'm so bullish on Smitty's production. I really think he's going to have that lead.
You're drinking.
I am drinking a American Blue Raspberry Monster Energy drink.
Ah, okay. So you're high on endorphins.
High on optimism, yep.
There we go.
I mean, for being honest, though, Devontae Smith, he is a low-tier number 1 wide receiver. I was somebody in 2021. I did not like Devontae Smith. I was proven wrong. I honestly thought watching his film, he could not beat press. And seeing him in the NFL, being able to do that, and then getting 1,000 yards and things like that, I don't think he's on like a Jamar Chase type level or Justin Jefferson type level. But
I agree.
Devontae Smith, especially with your offensive line and Saquon Barkley and all that, Devontae Smith is good enough to lead that wide receiver position, especially if what's his name, Lemon is what everyone says he is, and then Hollywood Brown can be kind of like your deep threat. Tavion Wicks also. You guys have a bunch of wide receivers, kind of like what the Giants have right now, and Odell, Juju, but your guys are younger. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'd say you guys are probably the 2nd or 3rd best wide receiver core in this division behind Dallas. But
you're definitely number 2. And like I said, if Malik Nabers is healthy, I would put the Giants at 2 in regards to the positional group if Malik Nabers was healthy, only because he is a 1. Devontae Smith to me is not a 1A. He's not a 1B. He's not a 2, but he's a 1C because of the fact that
Jalen Waddle. That's where I'd put Devontae Smith there.
Yeah, when Devontae Smith came out of school, I admitted I wanted him because of the fact that I thought he would have the ability to get off the line. That's why I thought when Jalen Hyatt came on, I was like, well, Jalen Hyatt to me could be a Devontae Smith. He could use his speed and quickness to get away from the defenders, but we just found out that he keeps getting jammed at the line and takes him so fucking long to get into the routes that it doesn't matter because the play has already been over and they already started the last 3 plays before he even got off the fucking line. But that's why he's not going to be here after this year. But I do think that if we look at it positionally and look at it from a strong point, I mean, I think that the Eagles are going to still have to rely on the run game because that's should be their bread and butter if they're healthy, because they can set the expectation for the interior portion of the line. They can control it like they did 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. All right, guys, dead air is bad.
I think we're going to be, I think offensively we're going to be fine. So I'll fill the dead air. I think we were I want to say we're in the low 20s last year for like total offense, like maybe 22 to 25. If we can just increase that to a top 15 offense with the defense the way it's going to be, I think we're going to be fine. I mean, we won 11 games with Kevin Patullo, so the sky's the limit. I agree with Joe Ferry. Smitty over Waddle all fucking day.
I go Waddle over Smitty.
I had to go with that. I got to take Smitty over Waddle only because of the fact that I think Smitty has. I think he's got a little bit more. I think he's got a little bit more tread left on the tires, And this is a guy that even splitting time at 27 years old with AJ Brown still had 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. And this is a guy that's also had 3,000-yard seasons in 5 years since he's been in the league. So, like I said, I don't think I'm offending him by saying that I don't think he's a 1. That to me, he's a 1C because he's not exactly Chase, but he's not exactly, but he's better than Waddle. And I don't think Waddle's a 1 at all.
Hey, so what would we consider a 1B then? I've never heard of a 1C.
Maybe T. Higgins would be the best example, or a Devontae Adams, in my opinion.
There you go. That I was literally about to go with T. Higgins. T. Higgins to me is a 1B. Devontae Adams, another great example, is a 1B. These are guys that while they can be 1s, they are not the star guy. They are not the Odell Beckham in his prime. They are not the Jerry Rice in his prime. They are not AJ Brown in the prime, because AJ Brown can be a difference maker every single week. Devontae Smith is, while he can get you 1,000 yards, he can have his big games, he is not always going to consistently be the guy, especially going up against bigger corners. AJ Brown is a guy that I don't, as long as the quarterback is working to get on the ball, I'm not going to worry about. I'm not going to worry about Jamar Chase. Those guys I'm just not even going to care about, because they're going to find a way to get open. They're going to find a way to get their yards.
Again, that's why I just can't believe the Eagles traded AJ Brown. Like, AJ Brown to me was the best wide receiver in this division, even over CeeDee Lamb, just because of what he can do on the boundary. But I mean, we're going to see what happens though with him and with the Patriots now and Drake May. But again, I'm just really surprised the Eagles did that, because they didn't really have to. Again, from a cap room perspective, I just don't understand. I guess because of the locker room and all that going on, but I mean, you guys got a first-round pick for him, so see what happens in 2028, I guess.
I'm not going to be at camp all days. I'm going to be at camp the first 3 because it's in West Virginia. And there's people that go to West Virginia, that live in West Virginia, that don't want to be in West Virginia. So I'm only going to be at camp the first 3 or 4 days, but I am going to be there. Yes, and there is merch available. Just go to the YouTube page and you'll see the merch button. I don't really pitch the merch, but there's a lot of fun stuff on there. So you can go find the merch. But I'm going to, Trent, you're definitely going to camp the first 3 days? The open camp?
I still got to make plans with my dad. It's really busy during the summer because he's a farmer. So I kind of got to convince him to come off the property. But I did end up getting a ticket for Eagles open practice. So I'll be able to give you guys some inside intel on how Smitty and Lemon look in this new offensive system. Because we have the benefit of having such a good defense that if these guys look good in camp against our starting defense, that's going to do a lot to reassure me going forward.
Don't forget to hit the like button. Greg Giants coming on strong. Subscribe to his channel. So Greg, what is your full name of your channel?
It's just Greg Giants. That's just simple. I didn't want to make it too complicated. I just like it. I love the logo I got last year for it from I think it was Logo Graphic Designs. Really good website. Like I was able to download it, customize it, make it myself. It's just beautiful.
Good for you, buddy. That's awesome that you got a channel. That's real cool.
Same here. Hey, Trenton, what do you think the Eagles' record's going to be? If it's not too soon, if I'm not spoiling a potential video for you.
I can give you my early prediction. I think we're going to be one game better than last year. I think we're going to be 12-5.
I got you guys at 12-5 too. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say like 14 plus wins or anything. I think 12-5. The Nick Sirianni era started 9-8, 14-3, 11-6, 14-3. I think we can get to 12-5 this year.
All right, I just put Greg. I just put your channel in the link so everyone go subscribe to Greg the Giants. And Trenton, what's your channel again?
Soaring Wing Show. If you search Soaring Wing Show, it should come up.
All one word or two words?
3 words. So Soaring Wing Show.
Soaring. Oh, you already have 40. Yeah, look at. Okay. Oh, here we go. And there is Soaring Wing Show as well. I'm going to subscribe. Look at me. I'm subscribing to things. I'm like a guy. I'm also going to put Soaring Wing Shows in the chat as well, so you guys can go there and make fun of Trenton. Please don't make fun of his hair.
I will say,
hey, it's not that bad.
Philadelphia Eagles for a minute. Their defense is really good, and you guys signing Tariq Woolen really pissed me off because I don't know how the league allowed Howie Roseman to swoop in and take Tariq Woolen for $15 million, but that was the only problem with the Eagles defense last year. You guys didn't really have that second corner, going between Adoree Jackson and what's his name, Keely Ringo. You guys got a really, really good steal of Tariq Woolen. You got Quinion Mitchell, who's an absolute beast. Didn't the Giants draft Deontay Banks out of Toledo as well a year later? So we missed out on Quinion Mitchell. We got bum-ass Deontay Banks.
So we missed out on a lot. But don't worry, we traded up for Deontay Banks out of Maryland. We traded up one spot for him.
And missed out on Joey Porter. No, but again, back to what I was saying. No,
wait. I gotta go back to the Deontay Banks things because we were at that draft. We were at the draft party. We were on the field. We were all excited when we were going to pick, and then of course we traded up, and I still laugh to this day because the team we leapfrogged, who was supposed to take a corner, did not take a corner in the rest of the draft. So it was another one of the Joe Shane moments that we're going to leapfrog someone because I have this intel, and then it turned out the intel is just the intel that it is, and we've missed out on so many different players. But we're not even going to get into that because Deontay Banks is going to be all worth.
It was just it was so stupid. He was this good player out of Maryland, and he just never turns his head around. As I've said on my channel when I ranted on his team and their losses, he never turns his dumbass head around.
Well,
not playing the ball, missing picks, not making tackles.
The problem is this: if you watch him, and you watched him under Wink, and you watched him his last season at Maryland, he did turn his head. The problem is, I don't know. Now, first of all, Shane Bowen is the worst defense coordinator in the world when it comes to evaluating and taking his secondary unit and making it into anything. He is literally the worst. I mean, God help anyone that was a corner under Shane Bowen outside of the 2 years of Jim Schwartz, when Jim Schwartz was there as the mentor. But
quick question: who do you think's worse at their job, Kevin Patullo or Shane Bowen?
Ooh, that's
I'm gonna go Kevin Patullo because a lot of it for me with the Giants defense was, yes, Shane Bowen sucked, but the players needed to make plays too. Getting ran on, not being able to make tackles and missing tackles is not on the defensive coordinator and things like that. Not being able to bring down Caleb Williams 3 or 4 separate times is not on the defensive coordinator. When you're right there and couldn't bring him down, letting Drake May go right by you if you're Brian Burns. I think Andre Phillips ran into each other is not on the defensive coordinator. So I agree Shane Bowen sucks, and Shane Bowen sucks. But the Giants defense needed to make more plays, and they didn't last year. And it was just a shame.
That's some good analysis, buddy. I'll be subbing to your channel.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to give even a better analysis because I am the professional here. It's like asking, what would you rather have, vomit or diarrhea? I don't want either. I would like to have a clean bill of health because of the fact, but if you had to listen, your offensive coordinator last year, what was his role the previous season?
Passing game coordinator, which our passing game, even during the Super Bowl season, took a backseat, obviously because of the Saquon, but there was plenty of games where the route trees just made no sense. He had guys bumping into each other.
I don't want to break down analysis. What was his? So it was passing coordinator. What was his position the year prior to that?
Honestly, I think he was just like a senior offensive assistant or something.
Yep, you were right. He was basically the equivalent of the offensive quality control coach. So you have a guy with all this massive experience as an offensive coordinator that you dropped into the role. I can't fault him for sucking, because if that's the case, then I have to say Denard Wilson is a terrible defensive coordinator because of the fact that he had no defensive coordinator experience when he went to Tennessee, and Tennessee was horrendous for 2 seasons. But I can tell you, Shane Bowen has had a body of work on a potential championship team for 6 seasons. And his defenses, especially his secondary, got steadily worse every year, to the point that even when his first year, when he was the quasi or unnamed defensive coordinator, as Mike Vrabel would have said, as Mike Vrabel did said, the team was 11-5, but still had one of the worst defenses in the league. And then they got exposed again in the playoffs during that 11-5 season, even though that team was built to win or potentially go to a Super Bowl for a good 3-year window. So I got to go Shane Bowen, because Shane Bowen is a guy that has all the experience. In my mind, is a home wrecker because of the fact that he had the opportunity in multiple places where he kept getting chance after chance after chance, but still got exposed. But Brian Daboll's got to pull up his phone and say, but look how he was in the red zone. Yeah, but why don't we look about between the 20s? Because sometimes you can score a touchdown, wait for it, outside the red zone.
That's hilarious that you bring up the red zone, because if you're not going to believe this, but the Eagles were actually number 1 in red zone efficiency last year in terms of converting red zone into touchdowns, mostly because Kevin Patullo's one good play. I'll give him credit. He had this Dallas Goedert shovel pass that we used like 8 times last year, and it worked without a fail.
I remember. I actually do remember that. So, but all right, guys, listen, I'm going to give you each a chance to wrap up and give yourself a plug on the channel, because we'll get through some of the comments and get out of here in a little bit. So, Greg, I'm going to let you go first. Give us a pitch to your channel. Why should we subscribe? The channel's in the link. The channel link is in the chat, so make sure you go subscribe. But tell us about your channel a little bit, Greg. Tell us about how long you've been doing it, what your thought is, and why should people subscribe?
I've done this since really September, since the Washington game in week 1. I did the pregame. I'm not the pregame. I did the post game. I didn't do a preview because I didn't know if I wanted to do this really. But the Giants pissed me off so bad after that game, I decided to just rant on them. But then I really just wanted to do this channel. I've been a diehard Giants fan really since 2008, 2009. And I just love expressing how I feel about this team. Always going to be honest. I like to have a bad dog type of feel to the channel, but also want to do previews,
See, first of all, it should have been, I want to have an online Big Blue feel to the channel. We're going to try that again. Okay, we're going to try that again. So go ahead now. Take 2.
Okay, I want to have an online Big Blue feel to the channel that's always going to be honest and unfiltered, no matter what with this team. For people who have watched my channel, you know how I feel about this team. But like I said, I want to try to have a Tim and Bad Dog type of feel to the channel, but also more like a Big Blue Banner type, previews, all that stuff, post games, And I do have a little surprise for my channel with the offensive line that I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to see if I can do it. But regardless, it's going to be a lot of fun this year on my channel, my 50-something subscribers. I just hope it goes up. But honestly, I just love doing this. I just love doing it. I love talking about the Giants. I love my team, even though they piss me off, and I know they piss a bunch of people off here. But I just like to do this for fun. It's just a side gig. It's not my full-time job. You know, I'm not a beat reporter like some people, but... But
you leave Adrian alone, because I don't even think she's covering the Giants anymore. I think she's covering everything now, the spectrum.
That was really stupid what she did, honestly. But no, but regardless, I love my channel. Even if one person watches my channel, if one person watches my video, that's good enough for me. If I can make one person laugh, forget about their problems, escape reality, that's all that matters to me. So
you know what? I'm gonna tell you this, and I subscribe to your channel. I'll start watching a little bit more. I'm gonna tell you this: you never know what happens. I'm
gonna say, don't watch around your kids, though.
Yeah.
Don't watch, because I really use vulgar language and things like that. But yeah.
All right, Greg. Well, everyone go subscribe to Greg Giants. I have the link in the chat. Greg, I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna drop you off so I can have Trenton do his spiel as well.
I can't hear anything Tim is saying. Are you having audio issues too, Greg, or is it just me?
Nah, it's just you.
What's he saying? Translate for me.
He said now he's going to get to you now, and you're going to discuss your channel and why people should subscribe to you. So can you just not hear Tim? Can you hear me?
I can hear
I can hear you fine. I don't know why Tim's not coming through.
I don't know, but I'm Greg. I'm going to drop.
Yeah, I guess I'll give a quick plug.
Me, guys. Thank you for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
All right, Greg. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Greg. All right, it's just me and a Tim I cannot hear, so I will do a quick plug here. Yeah, I started the Soaring Wing show about 2 weeks ago. The production quality is pretty low right now. I'm still learning how to edit videos and use YouTube, really. But same as Greg, not really in it for the subscribers or anything. I just love talking about the Eagles, and if people want to watch that kind of content and join in with me, I plan on having live guests like you yourself, Tim, when I get my subscriber count up a little bit. And I really love the community that you've built on YouTube, not only with Giants fans, but Eagles fans like myself and other NFC East fans that are in the chat. And so any of the crossover that happens between our channels would be awesome. And I really plan on doing mostly just ideas that I'm passionate about. Like, I started the channel with the Eagles Golden Age series, as I call it, because the Eagles have been such a successful team over the last 5 years. I wanted to break down the individual reasons why. So I had an episode on Howie, an episode on Nick, an episode on Hurts, and then ownership, and just just any ideas that come to my head about the Eagles, I'm going to post about. But once the season goes is when it's really going to kick off, because I plan on having weekly recap shows based on the games. And Tim, just thanks for giving me a platform to plug the channel, and also just being one of my favorite YouTubers, buddy. You really inspired me to do this, and I got to get going, but it's always great to see you, buddy. Have a great day.
All right, brother. Oh, you can't hear us, which is a shame, because it's nice when anyone says something nice about me. Not used to that. Let's see here. Joe Ferris, Greg said, Joe Ferris, I heard your jokes last stream. I think I have more followers than Tim's TikTok. I just got on TikTok 2 days ago. I had to get on TikTok because I'm not going to get into it for sponsor reasons why, but I had to go on TikTok. I got 61 TikTok followers, the doohickey people thingers. I love this comment. Where was the Joe Ferry's comment? I think McLovin.
I am McLovin.
Is in Greg Giant's closet. Super positive bullshit will get you more subs. Us Giant fans love being in the echo chamber. I agree with that right there. Friend of the show, Greg. Friend of the show is if Gary Myers, when he's on tomorrow and he's on twice. It's a good question. Is that friend of the show Gary Myers now? Because he's been on twice. I was thinking about that yesterday. Denard Wilson is on a honeymoon period this season. Yeah, but to the point that we were discussing earlier, if you are saying that, the offensive coordinator last season for the Eagles was a failure and was terrible, Denard Wilson had 2 bad years in Tennessee. I already said it. I've said it a million times. I didn't think Denard Wilson was ready to be a defensive coordinator. I was glad that he went to Tennessee. I even said he was glad. I was glad he went to Tennessee. I was very honest about that. I didn't think we were going to end up with Shane Bowen, though. But I think Denard Wilson is ready now for the spotlight. I think he's gotten that experience under his belt. He received the tutelage outside of the Giant Den under Brian Callahan, and now and one season of we know who, but he's received that. So I mean, I think he's ready. I think he's ready for prime time, and that's what I'm going with. That deer in headlights or scataboo during Saturday. Same look. That's actually a good point. WK says, I think the Giants have the best staff, not only in the East, but in the NFL. I think the Giants have one of the most, I think if you're looking at depth in regards to your coaching staff, I think the Giants probably have the best in the division. I really do, because I think each component and the way that Harbaugh put this staff together was just so, I'm not going to say unique, but you have a lot of properties that every position had a rationale. Every position that he brought in was part of a concept. And that's why I think that this is probably one of, if not the best staff that the Giants have put together. Big Greg Giants drops in the super chat. Of course, Greg was just, I do really appreciate what happened. You're not a negative as people say, just honest. Well, I appreciate that, Greg. And all super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Look at that giveaway to charity. I do all these wonderful things, and I'm always being chastised. But I'm not negative, to your point, Greg, and I do appreciate it. And don't forget to go subscribe. I got Greg's channel. It was in the chat. But if you want to go subscribe, it's just Greg Giants. You go find, and it's all one word. Go find that directly on YouTube. Giants, number 1, 2 staff, best in the NFL. I actually agree with that a lot. Big Nichols, what's up, brother? What's a bigger pair of inside linebackers? Better coaching can we expect to have better against the run? Listen, I'm going to say this. And I'm going to say this right now. Well, I said it at the beginning of the show. With DJ Reader, with Reese, and with Tremaine Edmonds, teams are not going to run up the middle. If it's schemed properly, teams will not run up the middle. And honestly, if I am a opponent of the Giants, I'm still running off tackle. I'm still running off tackle every single play till they stop it. And then I'm going to attack this. Then I'm going after the secondary. It's almost like the Dallas game. Dallas was running, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, we can pass too. So let's fuck this and go throw for 500 yards. But I think you've anchored the center of your defense, and this is why I talk about Reese being the hybrid linebacker. He's not a positionalist player. He's a hybrid linebacker, because I think you can get him on the inside and you can get him on the outside. And I think that's what you have to look at. That's what you have to do. When you have one true defensive end on this team. I should rephrase that, because Brian Burns is a true defensive end, but he's not a run stuffing defensive end. And everyone talks about going Perry Fuel NASCAR. We're going to go NASCAR. We're going to go NASCAR. We're going to have the best pass rush in the league. No, we heard that last year. A pass rush can be negated. Speed on the outside can be equalized. The scheme is going to be what's important, because of the fact that you cannot rush the passer every down. You cannot rush the passer all 3 downs. Big Michael, what's up, my brother? Big Michael dropping in the $4.99 super chat. Super chat. All super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Thank you, Big Michael. Big Mike, we're going to get ready for that home opener, brother. Big Mike and I are staying at the same hotel. If for the home opener against Dallas, so that's gonna be exciting. So we're gonna start planning the tailgate. Might put up the OBB tent. I don't know. I haven't decided. Put up the New York Giants Straight Talk tent. Brought to you by Bleav. All in here with the mighty FanDuel. But until the Giants can figure out, like I said, you can't rush the passer every down. So the problem is this: when you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, who are both their best skill sets rushing the passer, what happens down 1 and 2 when it's not an obvious passing down? You're going to run, and you're going to run right at these guys. And we've shown it in the past. We've seen it a million times. Going up against this monumental specimen of a defensive end linebacker, or going up against this guy, there's no way in hell a quarterback, and Swift went for like 44 on that play, could be blocked by a quarterback. I'm going to still have the same philosophy until the Giants are telling me that they can do it. Greg says, I appreciate everyone who subscribed. Planning to do a lot more on my channel, especially when my new camera is set up. Well, good luck to you, Greg. We're excited to see. WK says, Tim, do you see the Giants rushing the quarterback more this season because of our average secondary? We've talked about this before. A hellacious pass rush can help you negate a poor secondary. That can subtract time the quarterback has to look downfield against a bad secondary. Just like a great secondary can take away the effects of a poor pass rush because you are allowing the defensive line more time to get to the quarterback. The problem is this: outside of Brian Burns, what player on this team has a complete repartee in regards to rushing the passer? Not Kayvon Thibodeau. Abdul Carter still has one move, and that's the dip. You know, like I said, we showed that we did the video. We showed the video multitudes of times. He tried to do it in the pros, and I remember Lane Johnson just pushed him to the ground. He does this thing where he uses the speed, and he just kind of dips his shoulder and tries to get around. And Lane Johnson, he did that against Lane Johnson in the second game. Lane Johnson just went, nope. So, and speed, we've talked about this before, especially on the outside, can be negated by the tackles by positioning yourself so you're creating a larger space and you're driving the pass rusher more towards the sideline so he has a longer route to the quarterback. One of the biggest issues Kayvon Thibodeau had in year 3, especially after year 2, where he had 11.5 sacks, even though 7 of them came in 3 games. Kayvon Thibodeau never cut, and especially year 3 and 4, he did not cut the rush back in quick enough. If you're going wide, you're going to need to do swim through. You're going to do a little swim move and hopefully get her in, cut back on the inside of the rush. He didn't do that. And I've seen when you lack, and also with Abdul Carter, when you lack the strength of a guy that can, I love this one play, this one highlight everyone shows of Abdul Carter, him stopping the run. It's funny as shit. And I got to go back and find it. And I can't remember what, I think it was the Raider. I want to say it's the Raider game. He's in the middle of the field and he busts through the line and the running back runs right into him. And Abdul Carter wrapped himself around the running back. The running back stood up and Abdul Carter literally, his feet came a foot off the ground. And I was looking at this like, and I love it because everyone shows this as a highlight. And I'm like, if the running back was leaning forward at all, he would have fell on Abdul Carter. But the running back stood up. He didn't lower his shoulder. He stood up straight. But when he stood up straight, he lifted Abdul Carter off the ground. When you're weak against the point of attack, because that's not what your strength is, that's what teams are going to take advantage of, especially with quality offensive lines like the 2 in your division and quality going against quality running backs. So I think they're going to have a balance because Denard Wilson, if you look at his body of work at Tennessee, was not a huge proponent of bringing the blitz completely. He didn't sell out a lot. Shane Bowen, you used to like, going back to his days, Tennessee, used to like to try to generate his pass rush with 4 guys, kind of like the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. So I think the Giants are going to probably rush a little bit more, but doing that also will expose your secondary and also expose your running game. Jerry Fed, what's up, brothers? The Giant can't stop the run. It's going to be a long season. Yeah, you got that right. Better start blitz. Wilson blitzing. I agree to that too. Good luck to Greg. Everyone's giving Greg the big fans. Let's see. Philly fans eat hot dogs with the shade. Not my favorite. Abdul's going to have a breakout if the pass rush has a chance. I don't see it. And I wish I could. Hope to God I'm wrong. I've said it before. He's Bryce Huff. We had the great Jerry Oslowski on, 10-year veteran offensive lineman of the Buffalo Bills, played with Jim Kelly and Frank Reich. Big, huge Penn State fan. He came on. He came on the show and he asked. He asked me directly. He goes, what do you think of the pick? And I said, and he's like, would you play him at linebacker? I was like, no. And Jerry said that in his opinion, his expert analyst opinion, that, and I said the same thing, that Abdul Carter is a situational pass rusher. He's a guy you should not play 70, 80% of the time. And I love it because everyone talks about his pass win ratio. That's a great stat.
King of the almost sack.
It's one of those stats. His pass win ratio was 20%. Second only Myles Garrett. How many sacks did Abdul Carter have again? 4.5 to 23 sacks from Myles Garrett. It's one of the stupidest stats that I've ever heard or ever seen. I said week one, I said when we drafted Abdul Carter, there was 2 people in that draft that scared the bejesus out of me at 3. That was either going to be Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, because Abdul Carter failed as an off the ball linebacker and only he basically was shifted the defensive line because of necessity. And everyone talks about his 23.5 tackles for loss as well. Well, like you said, in college, a sack is also statistically counted as a tackle for a loss. So really he only had 12 tackles for loss, but we don't want to get into that. And I kept saying he can still have 10.5 sacks, but you need to play him like he's Bryce Huff. You need to use him as a situational pass rusher. You need to create advantages for Abdul Carter. Because when you put him on the field for an extended period of time, he is going to get exposed. He is going to get exposed at different opportunities in different plays. As his snap count went up, played in 76% of the snaps. As his snap count went up, if you take a look at his production at the end of the season, because everyone wants to talk about all the big games he had at the end of the season. Okay, he had 3 tackles and half a sack versus the Raiders. His big game was against Washington, who was a terrible team, which was 7 tackles and a sack. He had 3 games in a row against where he had a sack. And people forget, we got blown out versus New England. He got manhandled in the New England game. And then he went game 1 with a half a sack and went to game 13 before he had a sack again. And he was actually playing more snaps. At one point in time, he was playing 83, 66, 89, 91 snaps with the injury to Kayvon Thibodeau, and his production did not increase. He is a situational pass rusher. You want to get him 10.5, 11 sacks, fine, but only play him like 45% of the snaps because he is going to get exposed on running plays. Gotta run, guys. Looking forward to tomorrow's stream. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Tim, my brother. Tim, what's your go-to barbecue rub? Green Egg makes a mesquite rub. I don't know the game. I actually make my own rub.
That's what she said.
I actually like making my own rub. So, but they have a mesquite rub that Big Green Egg makes, which is a real good one. So you can move for those IBM servers. How good is Mike Bloomberg? Oh, Bloomgreen. I don't know. How good is he? I don't know. As a coach, I think if you take a look at of course he's the offensive line coach. I know. I'm just trying to think what's a good way to put it. He fits the philosophy. He's been in the league since he was with the Jets for a bunch of years. And then he was with then he was the head coach over at Rice. So he's had, like I said, he is a guy that, like I said, if he fits the system, he fits the opportunity, and I think he is a good teacher, and I think that's what you need to take a look at in regards to that. He is a good teacher. Edmonds is smart enough to snuff out the off tackles, so also the speed of Reese, Tibbs, and Carter to rush you outside takes themselves out of the run play. You're right. Tim, how is Bradley Chubb's 30 on 2 bionic knees making $30 million and you can't get a 4 out game on Thibodeau? I don't know. You're right. We're going to talk about the running game. My Hondas in college have less miles on them than Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be fine. I'm not worried about that. Iman Perry says, not all sacks are created equal. OC's 11.5 sacks, 10.5 fumbles is way more impressive than Kayvon's. Here's the thing, and this is the thing you need to look at. Oh, we were talking about NASCAR. The only thing about that, does everyone understand the reason why Perry feels NASCAR worked? Because you had 2 defensive ends, in Matthias Kiwanuka and Jason Pierre-Paul, who each had 80-plus tackles that year. And you also had injuries to Tuck and O.C. Umenyiora that year. But you had 2 guys that had 80-plus tackles. So you held the edge. Which if you're allowed to hold the edge, you can bring Chris Canty, you can bring other people right up the middle. So that's Mia Cumin loves up to a Carter. Trent just started a chicken wing podcast. Bobby Okereke out of the league, not even 30. What happened to him, Tim? I kept telling people that I didn't like Bobby Okereke the last couple of years. I didn't see it. And Bobby Okereke, to me, is one of those guys, and there's nothing wrong with it, who makes a lot of tackles. On bad teams. And when you're on a bad team, I can tell you firsthand, when you're on a bad team, someone's got to make the tackles. Content creators dishonor NASCAR when they start saying Darius Alexander NASCAR. What the fuck? Can't be serious. You're right. I'm not gonna lie. All right, guys, listen, it is 12:06. I'm gonna jump out of here. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Appreciate everyone that tuned in today. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Mañana, we got Gary Myers, New York Daily News sports legend, author, gonna be here. Friend of John Harbaugh, or friend of the show, is going to be on tomorrow at 11. We're going to discuss his new documentary. I want to get into Bobby Johnson, the wide receiver. We're going to talk about his book, which he's got coming up, which he's writing right now about the New York Giants 2026 season. We're going to talk about his ESPN show. We're going to talk about the Giants going into this new training camp with 10 practices in 11 days. Dear Lord, they're going to be busy. We're going to be at Better Not. It's not a pre-record. It is alive. The Gary Myers shit is alive. I love Joe Ferry's comments about putting me in the middle of the thumbnail. But that was funny as shit because that's actually John Harbaugh. So it would have been funnier if I did that. So make sure we stay tuned. Trying to get on his own segment on the show. Your wonderful, delightful show, Tim. You are so handsome. Well, thank you, Jeff. Very fun. Someone finally mentioned the hair. And again, this is Tim, this New York Giants Straight Talk, brought to you by the mighty FanDuel. It's FanDuel.com, number 1 sports book in America. Here on the Bleav Network. We'll see you tomorrow at 11. And I'm out of here.
That motherfucker must have lost his goddamn mind.